After another stunning OT loss against the Rangers, the Carolina Hurricanes' backs are officially against the wall.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I am your host, Zach Martin. I am the Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I am also a AHL writer over at the Calder Times. I am also the co-host of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all of my dudes here at Locked On Hurricanes. Bringing you a Friday edition of the show, going over reactions from Game 2 in the Hurricanes 3-2 overtime loss to the New York Rangers to go down 3-0 in the series. Going to talk about everything. Just talk about the game in general. And give my thoughts on what I saw being at the game, covering the game in person for the Hockey Writers. Giving my thoughts on that, just being there in person in the building. Also going to give you your Canes player of the game, who I thought had a really great game despite, another loss to the Rangers in the series. And also going to finish up the show with talking about quotes from Rod Brind'Amour from his press conference, and even asking Rod Brind'Amour a question myself, actually, to him. So I'm going to go into all of that. But before we jump into everything of today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. There is no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build yours. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire, you need Indeed. So, like I said, the Carolina Hurricanes unfortunately lose another one to the Rangers on Thursday night, dropping in overtime to a 3-2 loss. Game-winning goal into Artemi Panarin after he deflected he redirected a pass from Vincent Trocheck on the sideboard and went through his legs. Panarin's and was able to angle it a certain way to get past Pyot Kochetkov, thus making the Rangers win in overtime once again and putting the Hurricanes in a very, very tough spot. Now you're down 3-0 on the series, and I know a lot of people are upset, and people have right to be. It's tough when how good the Hurricanes were during the regular season. Finishing 3 points back in the Metro Division, you're looking at going into the playoffs as the second seed in the Metro, and it's odds-on favorite to win the Cup to start the season. Had some pretty good odds coming into the playoffs where they finished and stuff like that. You take care of the Islanders in 5. There was a few comebacks there. The Canes scored a lot of goals and stuff like that against the Islanders, but coming into the Rangers series, you knew it was going to be tough. The Rangers, President's Trophy winning team, did win the regular season series 2-1. Of course, one of those games being a 1-0 game where a puck went off a Brady Shea skate. But then the Hurricanes won, the first game into 2024, beating them 6-0. It's just the playoffs are a different animal, man. It's really tough. And you look at this game, and it was another close one. It's just like it's almost giving you the vibes of the Florida series in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, where the Hurricanes are so close, but it's just one bounce here, one bounce there, one stop here, and stuff like that. And Hurricanes lose game 1 4-3. They lose the game on Tuesday. They lose the game on Tuesday night. That was a double overtime game. That was 4-3. Now you lose Thursday night in the 3-2 game. That was in overtime. So it's just they're right there. It's just the bounces aren't going their way, and it's one of those things where it's tough. It's tough when you look at how good this team is. How good on 5-on-5 they are, and you can see a lot of momentum going their way. And it's just, unfortunately, it's another night where you have 9 penalties in a game. And the Hurricanes had another chance. They had another 5 power plays, and unfortunately fall short once again for the third night in a row, to where you're 0 for 5 once again, and now you're 0 for 15 on the power play in 3 games, which is very surprising with the fact that they scored a good number of power play goals in the first round against the Islanders, and you're talking about the team who had the second best power play in the regular season. But now it's gone cold, unfortunately, and it's one of those things like who do you look to fix it? How do you fix it and stuff like that? And it's just, the guys are frustrated. Rod's frustrated, and the guys know they know the special teams need to get better. We'll talk over some quotes and stuff like that, about the power play, here in a little while. But it's just one of those things where you're not really used to seeing a lot of penalties in the playoffs, and for whatever reason, like this series, it's so many. Like I said, for the Hurricanes have 15 power plays already in 3 games. You really don't. You might get 15 in an entire series, and now you get it in 3. And unfortunately, it's just the Hurricanes can't find a way to get it done on the power play, and that's the one thing. But if you want to take a positive away from the special teams, the Hurricanes did stop all 4 chances for the Rangers. The Rangers were coming into Game 3, 4 for 9 on the power play, and they shut them down. Shut them down for all 4 of the Rangers' chances. So if you want to look at a positive, the Hurricanes penalty kill units did their job, and they went 4 for 4. That's nothing more you can ask out of those guys. At least they got it done on being down a guy. But unfortunately, the power play once again it's been a lot of perimeter for most of the time, and just can't seem to find the marker to get it in. But I will say, though, being there in person, you saw some chances. There were some chances the Hurricanes had. They were a couple close saves away from getting one in on the power play, and just unfortunately, Igor Shesterkin is he's really good for the Rangers right now. He's kind of just holding out for them. When you have a 9.957 save percentage in an overtime game, you just gotta give credit where credit is due to Igor. He just found a way to make the saves when necessary, and unfortunately, the Hurricanes couldn't figure him out on the power play. They did get 2 past him, but it's going 0 for 5 again. It's tough. But like I said, you go 4 for 4 in the PK. That's all you can really ask out of those guys. At least you kind of looking at it as a way of there is a negative. Power play didn't get done, but here's a positive. The PK did its job done. That's what you saw out of the top penalty kill unit in the NHL during the regular season and all that stuff. Just over the game, Jake Guentzel, scored the first goal of the game to get the Hurricanes out front. Great job by him. Great deflection from a Dmitry Orlov pass, got past Shesterkin. That was a little over halfway into the game. Unfortunately, on one of the Hurricanes' power play opportunities in the second period, just odd man rush. Zibanejad found Chris Kreider in a good spot, and Kreider was able to deflect his own shot past Pyot Kochetkov to tie the game, and then Alex Lafreniere in the third period, just on another rush chance, just put a good shot on Pyotr and got past him. Like I said, one of those things where you got to give the Rangers a lot of credit. Just had the clutch opportunity at the right time to get the puck past Pyotr, who I thought had a really great game. I thought Pyotr did a great job, and you have to feel for the guy for the fact that he hasn't played in 3 weeks and 4 days as a Thursday night, and comes in, hasn't played since then, hasn't really played a playoff game, and you're coming into a game where you're down 2-0 against the Rangers, needing a win. And I thought he did great. It's just Lafreniere put a good shot on, and that's 3 goals in the last 2 games for him. So Alexis Lafreniere he's finding his touch right now. So it is what it is on that front. But really late into the period, the Hurricanes were pressing. You can tell they were pressing all night because they had a bunch of shots in the game. Overall, 47 shots to the Rangers 25. They were putting the puck on Shesterkin. You could say that some weren't high quality chances or not very dangerous enough, but the Hurricanes are a high shooting team. They put a lot of pucks on net and try to go for rebounds, trying to go for deflections, trying to pepper the goalie, and that's what they do. And it's just one of those things where Shesterkin was finding everything, and that's why you saw him. He was able to save 45 of the 47. But luckily, with the Hurricanes pulling an extra man, you had a 6-on-5, and Andrei Svchnikov, was able to put the puck on past Shesterkin, the place was really loud. The building basically erupted, and it was good to see the fact that the Canes didn't quit. You can see they were fighting for it. They were getting frustrated and stuff like that, and that's kind of what you saw. And just for the fact that he was able to tie it, force overtime, and then unfortunately in overtime, like I said, it was only a minute 43 in. Just, a puck jumps over a Hurricane skate or over a stick, goes right to Trocheck. Trocheck throws it on to Panarin, and he was just able to deflect it in a way that got past Pyotr, and now they win 3-2. Now the Hurricanes are down 3-0. And I mean, and you want to talk about this? You want to talk about these teams hating each other? They really don't like each other. Like, we're almost getting to we're probably about maybe 75% of the way there to the 90s Avalanche Red Wings vibes of just bad blood. Just like in game 1 and game 2, a lot of scrums, a lot of guys, jawing at each other. And this one got pretty, feisty. I think it was period 1 where, there was just a mad scrum in front of the net. A lot of guys were jumping on each other, holding each other, trying to find a dance partner and stuff like that. And just, basically just keep jawing at each other. Pyotr skates away. And I guess in the midst of the scrum somewhat dying down, I guess, there was a stick getting caught in the skates. I don't know what the intentions were in Martin Necas. I'm not going to sit here and speculate and guess. All I'm just saying, from what you saw, he was trying to, get the stick. He was trying to get the stick out of there. It probably was Jimmy Vesey's, and, Necas just kind of swiped it away. It's one of those things where, you initially look at it, all you really see is, Jimmy Vesey go high and punch Necas in the face, and resumes another scrum where you see a cheap shot high, if you want to look at it that way, and you've got Kuznetsov and Kotkaniemi and a bunch of other guys going, trying to go after Jimmy Vesey and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not going to speculate on intent or why Necas got the stick out of there and kind of just scooted it away. Maybe he was just trying to give a hard time to Jimmy Vesey, or he was just trying to get it out of there to make sure no one trips on it or gets hurt. Like I said, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to guess on it. It's just, when you look at it, he gets the stick out of there. VC comes up and hits him in the face, and then another whole thing breaks out. And now you look at, it was just very Kotkaniemi with unsportsmanlike. And so they're saying it was initially a roughing, but the way it was Orlov, and it was Dmitry Orlov and Barclay Goodrow who got unsportsmanlike conduct. So, they got, into it when, during the initial scrum, and then Orlov had, Goodrow in a headlock and stuff like that. And they were jawing at each other and going at it. And then Jimmy Vesey and Jesper Kotkaniemi both got roughings. Now, initially on the websites for NHL and stuff like that, they're going to say Jesper Kotkaniemi got unsportsmanlike. But at the game, it was a roughing for him and Jimmy Vesey. But yeah, it was just the whole thing. And that's kind of what really kicked off more of the bad blood. You could tell the refs were really trying their best to keep it under control. And that's probably why you saw so many penalties, because you're looking at a first period where you had, essentially 4 Hurricanes penalties to the Rangers 3, but most of those were offsettings and stuff like that. So that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of just how that game went. And unfortunately, like I said, 47 shots to 25 for the Hurricanes. Hurricanes out hit the Rangers 31-17, out faced off 39-25. Like I said, just the power play just couldn't get it done, and all that stuff. So despite the loss, there is a Hurricanes player of the game that I thought who played very, very well, and we'll get to that here in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. And the one thing for me, it's good to have life insurance because it's a good safety net for you and your family to have. And the fact that Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it all. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step and easily compare quotes from America's top insurance companies in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Your work-life insurance policy may not offer enough protections for your family's needs, and what's even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job. But with Policy Genius gives you the unbiased advice from licensed experts support team, and they also have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. And also thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. So check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So, like I said at the end of segment 1, there is a Hurricanes player of the game that I think despite the loss, I think played really well last night. And for me, it's Andrei Svchnikov. I'm out just even looking at the first period alone. He had 5 hits in that game, just in that period, and you could tell he was a one-man wrecking crew. He was just out there throwing hits at the right time. Just doing everything he can to, get the Canes going and stuff like that. Now, he did get an embellishment penalty. It's just interesting how the fact that now you call embellishment when I would say both sides, you could see that both sides probably have that. So just to call it one time and it had to be on Andrei Svchnikov is a little much because, like I said, it's one of those things where you could make a case that it's been happening on both sides, but it was just very interesting how it was just right then it was called. But overall, I mean, Andrei had a great game. Like I said, he had 5 hits in the first period alone. He had 6 for the entire game. He was the only Hurricane to have a multi-point game. He got a goal and assist, and the goal that sent the game into overtime, and then the one that he had the secondary assist on the Jake Guentzel goal back in the first period. So for the fact that Andrei was putting in creating chances, making a sit, giving the assist, and getting the game tying goal to send into overtime, and the fact that 6 hits, he had 6 shots in the game as well. So it's one of those things where he was a man on a mission to get the Canes. He wanted that win really bad. I think everyone wanted to win badly too, and for him to go out there and just absolutely just put on a show and do the get in the dirty areas, get on the board battles, lay some hits, and there's some pretty good ones too. And just being getting on the score sheet not once but twice, and he's right now having a play. He's having a really great playoff for the Hurricanes, and that's kind of what everyone hoped for was for Andrei to have a healthy postseason, so we can see what it's like to have him for a whole postseason again. And looking at it right now after last night, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. You'll take that. You'll take that from Andrei Svchnikov, and it's 25 shots overall in the playoffs in 8 games, and that's a shooting percentage of 8%. So it's one of those things where he's having one of those playoffs, and he's having a series where he's putting the team on his back. He's doing everything he can to make sure that it happens to get this team, keep fighting another day and keeping longer into the playoffs and stuff like that. So for me, my Canes player of the game is Andrei Svchnikov. So, if you're on YouTube, drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Who do you think your player of the game for the Hurricanes was? Would you say it'd be Andrei Svchnikov? Could you say Pyot Kochetkov? Like I said, he played a really great game. Unfortunately, they lost in overtime, but coming in, haven't played in over 3 weeks and putting on keeping the team in and stuff like that. You could give it to Pyot Kochetkov as well. And like I said, for me, it's Andrei Svchnikov. But like I said, in the comments, let me know who you think played really well, who's the Canes player of the game, and all that good stuff. So with that being said, post-game, there was a lot of quotes from Rod Brind'Amour talking about Brent Burns, also talking about the power play struggles and stuff like that, and just the team play overall. We'll get to that here in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. There's no I in team, but there's one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. We streamline hiring with powerful tools to find you match candidates. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data.us. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because you can get one step closer to hire by immediately matching you with quality candidates. And also, Indeed's hiring platform matches you with quality candidates instantly. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Starting hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/lockedon. Once again, that is Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So, a lot of quotes coming out of the Rod Brind'Amour, post-game press conference on Thursday night, and it's a lot of questions came up, talking about the power play overall, talking about Brent Burns and his play and stuff like that. And when talking about, the power play going over for 15 in the series so far, Rod Brind'Amour said our special players have to be special at the right times, and that's during the right power play, and that's during the power play, and that's what's missing right now. And he's right. It's like the guys are playing well. It's just, unfortunately, it's just not going the right way for them and stuff like that. It's kind of tough when, you got the guys who can get it done, but right now going over 15, it's not really helping out. And, he went further in saying, Rod said, talking about the power play, we're not executing very well. You have to give them credit, talking about the Rangers. They're doing a great job on the kill. I thought the first 2.5 power plays were actually quite good. A lot of good looks. And then we gave up that shorty. That was the Chris Kreider shorty. And then we got away from what we were originally trying to do. He goes on and talks more about it. It's a very, very long quote. But essentially, he's right. Like, the first 2.5 power plays, they played really well. They were pushing, creating all the right chances. Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis. The defense was getting a lot. The guys on the blue line were doing a lot of good chances too. It's just, unfortunately, couldn't figure out Shesterkin, and that Chris Kreider, shorthanded goal kind of just sucked the life out of the power play. And now you saw what happened. That kind of dried up after that. The last 2 power play chances kind of went back to the perimeter, not a lot of passes. I even think the last power play had like 0 shots on goal. So it's like after that Kreider shorty, the life just got sucked right out of that power play so fast, and that's how you saw them go 0 for 5 for the 3rd straight game, and you really can't do that. And it's tough. And then you're talking even more about, Corey Lavalette of The Athletic, asked Rod Brind'Amour about Brent Burns and how he's kind of struggled so far in this series. And, Rod said, I don't know if I agree with you on that. I thought he made actually some good rushes and had some good opportunities around the net there, floating some in. But I would disagree with you a little bit there. In that aspect, I can kind of see where, like, Brent Burns did have some good chances in the game. I will give him that. But there was some struggles on his side of things as well. He seems kind of off a step for most of the game, most of the series. And it's one of those things where he is back next season, the last year of his contract. And for me, it's, do you run it back with Brent Burns in that top line, or with, the lot of UFAs coming up and Brady Shea and Brett Pesce and stuff like that, do you possibly see Brent Burns go down to like a second line D pair? And then you bring in someone who could be the right side defenseman for Jacob Slavin on the top, defensive pair. And do you just go with that? Because I like Brent Burns. He's got a great game. Power play, maybe he's fallen off a step. Maybe you put him on PP2, if anything, and then, put him on the second D pair next year and bring in someone who could run with Jacob Slavin on that first pair. Because right now it's like, I think Brent Burns' age is really showing. I think a lot of people are seeing it, and nothing negative against, Burns. He's played well for the Hurricanes. He's been here, but you could tell like the back part of the regular season and through the playoffs, it just seems like age is catching up to him fast. And it's one of those things where, do you look at possibly, maybe moving him down within the lineup and just keeping him into a PP2 and a second D pair spot? Who really knows? But I can see, and of course, Rod's not going to throw his guys under the bus. And I know a lot of people are upset about it and questioning it, but it's like, you're not going to do that. Like, coaches aren't going to throw their guys under the bus like that. And Rod is a coach's coach. He's a former player, former captain. He's been there and done it. So he knows what it means. Like, he's not going to go out there and just put his guy in a bad spot. So that's the whole thing for me. It's like, you're not really going to see that from Rod Brind'Amour to throw Brent Burns under the bus like that. And you saw from how it was from the power play and all that stuff as well. And then I was able to ask Rod a question after the post game, with the hockey writers, able to get credentials to go check that out and go ask him some questions and stuff like that. And, basically ask him, granted the fact that the teams, I straight up asked him, the team was playing well, for the most part. They're staying close in games. They never really quit. And like, I just asked him what his thoughts were on, the loss, despite the fact that the team still was in it for most of the game. And Rod said, we're focusing on how bad we're playing, but we're really playing pretty damn good. I look at that. I'm separating it. There's two games going on here. If you want to write the right story, that's what's going on. We're losing one, talking about the special teams, badly, but we're doing pretty damn good on the other one. It's just how we can figure out how to make the special team story a little better. That's the difference. And I would generally agree with Rod. It's one of those things where, you look at the Trip Tracy has said it, Mike Maniscalco has said it, a lot of guys have been saying it and stuff like that. And you hear it, Mike Maniscalco, and like I said, he said it. Shane Willis has said it too on Kane's Cast. The Hurricanes are a great 5-on-5 team. We know they are. Like, if you look at how the game has been playing, it's been a lot of special teams for the Rangers for the most part. Outside of, Alexis Lafreniere's, 5-on-5 goal and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a lot of special teams for the Rangers. And you see the Hurricanes, they really know how to play a good 5-on-5 game. They know how to push. They know how to, create chances. And with just all these penalties, you're kind of throwing that team out of a groove where if the special teams isn't working right now, it's just not working. But then, with all the penalties, you're kind of having to put them in a spot where they're not really capitalizing on it. And if we're getting the usual 5-on-5 playoffs where you see a lot of even strength for most of the game, I think the Hurricanes play a lot better and they do get the job done a lot more. It's just, unfortunately, all these penalties are kind of just sucking the chances out of the bench and out of their 5-on-5 play. So I think, honestly, even strength is where the Hurricanes, strong point is. It's just right now, all the penalties and special teams isn't really helping the team right now. And that's what Rod's talking about. You look at the 5-on-5 story. It's great. They're creating chances. They're doing the things they need to do. They can score. They've even scored a lot of 6-on-5s as well, for the most part. And it's just right now the story that's not working for them, and the one that they really, he wants to. Obviously, they're going to keep working on it because they're practicing today at PNC. And the thing is, they want to. The story they want to fix is that one. Is the special teams, and that's what he's saying. Is the fact that they're losing one story badly, and that's special teams. And that's the one that they really want to focus on and get better. But there's also the other story of they're doing everything around 5-on-5, 6-on-5, all that stuff. The rest of that game, non-special teams are playing fine. It's just the special team story isn't really where it's at. So hopefully, the guys are going to try to work it out again. Hopefully it kind of turns around. I know it's tough to look at it where you're down 3-0, but just try to be somewhat optimistic and, also being realistic too. It's, the series isn't over. There's still, a chance to come back in game 4 and extend the series. Could you see a reverse sweep? I don't know. It's like maybe a 2% chance from what I've seen. It's very limited. It's a possibility. Do I see it happening? I don't want to say it's impossible, but the chances are very slim to maybe somewhat zero. But it's one of the things where the Hurricanes all season have shown no quit. They're going to try to keep fighting as much as they can and stuff like that. And it's going to be very interesting on Saturday for Game 4. Backs against the wall, you're down 3-0. Do you at least try to get one back and maybe give some life into the series and be like, okay, maybe there is a chance of something happening, but who really knows? But it'll definitely be interesting on Saturday for sure. But it's tough to see when you see how good the Hurricanes played, and it's just unfortunate came up short once again in Game 3, losing in overtime. But I don't know. Just got to keep the hope alive. Is it over? No. But is it going to be very, very tough to get back? Very much so. So it's just you guys see what the Hurricanes do on Saturday. And at this point, it's one day at a time, one game at a time for the Hurricanes. So I guess we'll see how everything goes on Saturday. But that will wrap up this Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. As always, thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen today. Hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I know despite the Hurricanes losing on Thursday night. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at OneTrueZach. If you want to follow the podcast, that's LO_Hurricanes. And if you want to click the link tree in my bio, you can find all of my articles, newsletters, premium content over at the Hawkers. Make sure to check that out. Doing a lot over on those side of things. If you want to keep up with anything on the AHL side that I'm doing, go to the Calder Times as well. If you want to listen or watch my other podcast, The Search Cast on YouTube, go check that out as well. And there's also links for this podcast to where you can listen to all podcast platforms and also to watch it here on YouTube. And if you're on the YouTube side, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss an episode or video and stuff like that. Also hit the thumbs up button. I would greatly appreciate that. Like I said, leave in the comments below who do you think your Canes player of the game is and all that stuff. And also, if you can, make sure to share this episode channel to all the other Caniacs as well. So maybe they become everydayers as well because, we're, over 840 subscribers and, we're on the road to 1,000. So if we get to 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube side of things, I might do something really special for you guys. Also on the podcast side of things, leave a 5-star rating because that'll get the podcast more out there and get us trending a little bit and stuff like that and getting out there more to more Hurricanes fans as well. And if you leave a rating to your 5-star review, I just might read on the podcast. But like I said, hope everyone's a great rest of their Friday. Hopefully everything's a little bit turns around and hopefully we see the Hurricanes possibly win on Saturday night. But until next time, as always, let's go Canes.